Hello everyone, welcome to Law Minds. So the topic for today's video is emergency provisions under Indian Constitution. So all of us know this thing that various parts of our constitution, that is our Indian Constitution, it has been borrowed from the constitution of different countries. Similarly, the emergency provision that we are going to study today, it has also been borrowed from somewhere. We have borrowed this part from the German constitution, that is the constitution of Germany. So in India, in Indian Constitution, Part 12 of the Constitution talks about the emergency provision. The articles are 352 to Article 360. So this part talks about the grounds, the need, and everything about emergency provisions. So if we talk about the need for emergency provision, then it is important that central government has power to protect the nation in the situation of crisis. So power under Article 352 to 360 has been given to the government to protect the citizen at the time of any disturbance in the peace of the nation. At the time of emergency, the government doesn't totally remain federal. This thing is to be noted here. This is the important part about the government at the time of emergency, that it doesn't remain totally federal. Like we know that India is not totally federal country, it is a quasi federal country. So this feature of quasi federal reflects at the time of emergency, where all the power is not well all the power is transferred to the central government. When emergency is imposed in the country, the power of state government also get transferred to the central government. So there are three types of emergency as described under Indian Constitution, which is national emergency, state emergency, and financial emergency. Firstly, let us talk about the national emergency. So national emergency is defined under Article 352 of the Indian Constitution, which states that if the president of the country is satisfied that there is a war, external aggression, or armed rebellion, that is, when there is a threat to the security of the country or any territory of it. So these three things has to be kept in mind. These three points are important here. That if the president is satisfied that there is a war, external aggression, or armed rebellion, if any of these things is there, and the president is satisfied, and also it is to be noted that the sole satisfaction of president is not required. He can do this on the advice of the Council of Ministers. When he talks about this to the Council of Minister, discuss this thing to the Council of Minister, and he is satisfied that there is a need to impose emergency, then only he can impose emergency in the country. So if any of these three grounds is fulfilled, that president can impose emergency in the country. Two types of national, we can further classify national emergency into two types, that is internal emergency and external emergency. If emergency is imposed due to war or a threat from outside the country, then it is external emergency. Like if there is a threat from outside the country, like other nations or international affairs, etc., then it is external emergency. But if it is imposed due to some internal factor or disturbance from within the country, then it is called internal emergency. If you talk about the effects of national emergency, then these are the effects like I have mentioned in the slides also. Firstly, that at the time of emergency, the center becomes the executive power. All the power has been given to the center only, to the central government. Secondly, the central can make laws on a matter that comes under the state. At the time of emergency, the center can also make laws on the matter that comes under the state list. As we know that there are three types of list. State usually the matters which comes under state list, the state makes law on that. But at the time of emergency, the center can also make law on the matter that comes under state list. So when it comes to the thirdly, when it comes to the finance distribution during the emergency, the president get power to distribute revenue between central and state, or the all the power related to the financial matter get transferred to the president. So these are the effects of the national emergency. Now talking about the second type of emergency, that is the state emergency. It is also famously known as President's Rule. You might have heard about the President's Rule. So, as per Article 355, it is the duty of the central government to ensure that states are functioning properly and there is no disturbance in the smooth functioning of the state. It is the duty of the center to mm, take care that there is no disturbance, there is proper functioning, there is no external disturbance in the states. So, it is the duty of the central government. So if the president find that there is some disturbance in the state, then he can impose his rule in the state. That is known as president's rule. But it is to be noted here that this report that there is some disturbance or there is some hindrance in the smooth functioning of the state. This report is given to the president by the governor of that state. That there is some disturbance and there is a need to impose the president's rule in that state. So governor plays an important role here. If we talk about the effects of president rule in a state, then when the president's rule is imposed, then all the power of state gets transferred to the president. All the power related to the state government, it get transferred to the president, and president became the sole authority of that state. Also, the power related to the state legislature get transferred to the parliament. The power to make law uh, related to the state, it get transferred to the parliament. And the president can also suspend constitutional provisions if he thinks that it is necessary to do so. So these are the effects of president's rule or the effects of state emergency. Now coming to the third type of emergency, that is financial emergency. If the president thinks that there is some financial instability in the country, like related to government revenues and receipts, any type of financial instability, then president can impose financial emergency in the nation. The proposal for financial emergency should be approved by both houses of the parliament. So, luckily, it is to be noted that till now, financial emergency has not been imposed in India even a single time. So now coming to the conclusion, uh, uh, by the following discussion, we can conclude that emergency can be imposed by the president only in the nation as well as in the state if he thinks that there is some disturbance in the smooth functioning of the nation or any part of the nation. Then president can has the sole authority to impose emergency, but in case of national emergency, he has to consult, he has to discuss it with the council of ministers, and in the case of state emergency, he has to impose it on the report of the governor. So I hope the video was helpful. Thank you and have a nice day.